Hi everyone, Blake Smith here, the lead fitter at the Scottsdale studio at True Spec Golf. Chris McCormick, VP of Education, here with Marty Jertson, VP here at Ping of the fitting and performance.
Yep.
We're here to talk to him a little bit about the 10K driver they just came out with. So Marty, this 10K driver, this really forgiving high ball speed driver coming out, like what's the idea around this?
It's the never-ending chase of having a driver that's forgiving, high ball speed, and gives you relatively low spin. So I would call it like a medium low spin driver. And 10K stands for, everyone's going to be like, well, what's 10K? 10K stands for the total moment of inertia of the driver. So that means we add up the heel toe when you miss it on the heel and toe inertia or resistance to twisting with the top bottom, because folks hit it high in the face, low on the face, on the heel and on the toe. We add those things up, and it's our first driver that's broken the 10,000 barrier. What does that mean for the golfer? It means you can hit it, you can hit it around the face and you get like the same spin and super high ball speed. And how we did it was we brought in our technology from the G430 LST, the carbon fly wrap, multi-material that wraps around and saves weight from the crown. We brought that into our very big platform, 460 cc's. We took even the CG shifter, you'll notice, has one big, massive back weight, so very heavy back weight, saved weight from the carbon fly wrap, and that's how we got it to over 10,000 inertia.
Yeah, so you're just basically taking the low spin version and then mixing it with the max and making this like hybrid of an amazing driver that you can just swing for the fences. It goes straight in high bombs.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, and the technology is kind of, we kind of view it as compound interest. We got the low deep CG, we got the carbon fly wrap going around the perimeter to save weight. And then we have the face optimization, which here we are, we're sitting in our focal room, which is our fast optical capture analysis lab.
Yeah.
These high-speed cameras.
So cool.
And a lot of the R&D that went into our face shaping design. So this, normally when you thin a driver, let's say you're kind of into the wind, a little crosswind, you thin your driver, you'd be like, the spin's you're gonna hit the low launcher and the spin spike's gonna go offline.
Yep.
Well, with spin consistency, which stands for spin consistency, we put the perfect calculated amount and change in the roll radius on the bottom of the face to counter the gear effect. And so what that does is it keeps the spin very stable when you hit it low on the face. You don't get the riser. So, and when you hit high on the face, the same thing. You don't get the diver. We have a little bit more loft up there. So we call that face shaping spin consistency, and then we package it all together so that, we've had our tour players hitting it so far absolutely in love with how stable the spin is.
Yep.
And when the spin is more stable, what does the golfer do? They swing harder. And when they swing harder, they hit it further.
It's a wonderful thing, right? So if you have G430 Max player and you have LST player, so start with that 430 Max. So player that is currently in the Max head, if they were to come in and test new 10K, what would they expect to see majority of the time?
Little bit higher launch. Both of those are very high launching drivers for the given loft because the CG is deep. So a little bit higher launch in a couple hundred RPMs less spin. So it's going to spin a little bit less than the Max driver, and it's going to spin a little bit more than the LST. It kind of lives in between those two from a spin standpoint, but it launches very high. So one way to think about it just gives you a better launch to spin ratio paired with the very high forgiveness.
Okay.
Now the Max driver is still going to be a great driver if you're looking for that CG shifter adjustability.
Right.
Still mega high inertia, really good mid-spin characteristic, obviously, that you guys have seen and golfers have seen. But if you need that little bit of CG shifter to kind of, if you're fighting a, miss to the right like a lot of golfers do, or if you're a faster swing speed player, might pull it or have the tendency to deliver the face close to the path, you can put the CG shifter in that fade position on the Max.
Got it. Now, player that is in LST, and if they're kind of considering 10K, what benefits would they expect to see testing those head-to-head?
Yeah, great question. So LST is the number one driver on the PGA Tour. Most weeks, it's been the number one model on the PGA Tour for good reason, because it gives really low spin, but still plenty of forgiveness. And the volume of the head and the CCs is a little bit smaller, around 445 CCs. So the 10K is going to spin a little bit more than the LST.
Okay.
And the big thing is the face, the profile of the 10K is much larger, which for some of the better players, they like that little smaller, more domey shape to it in the playing position. So the 10K could be a little big for some of those better players, but you're going to get the added forgiveness that comes with it. So compared to the LST, higher launch and a little bit more spin, but you'll get some added forgiveness.
Okay.
And bigger head size in the playing position.
So if you had a couple of key pieces of technology to really touch on just to help differentiate between current G430 models, what would be kind of the highlight reel for new 10K?
Yeah, I think it's when you talk about driver fitting, you want to think about kind of the vertical fitting and the horizontal fitting. And so we got the G430 SFT, stands for straight flight. That's our ultimate kind of anti-slice solution. Sits a little close, a little lighter weight. CG shifters that are in the heel side to kind of fix the slice. Then we got the Max, which launches high, medium spin, gives you CG shifter capability to tune your left-right. LST, smaller profile, a little more right bias, sits a little more open in the playing position, lowest spin option of all of them.
Sure.
And then you got the Max 10K, which is built to go super straight, launch high with medium low spin.
Got it.
I think that's going to fit a lot of people.
Yeah, it's fun how forgiving it is.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've been doing early fittings with it here.
Yep.
And the feedback is players and the fitters can't believe how straight it goes.
Yep.
And just how good the misses are. And that's a magical thing.
You can just launch it. You can just go after it. It's the Go Straight company.
That's it.
That's what I call paint. It's a Go Straight company.
And it's fast. I mean, that's the thing. Is that, a lot of people think if you make a driver forgiving, it's going to be high spin or the ball speeds are going to be slow. No, we got super high ball speed with the great aerodynamics. And when you improve the inertia of a driver, you get higher ball speed because you don't hit every ball shot in the dead center of the face, like right in the sweet spot. You have some impact stat area. It's going to be bigger if you're not as good of a player.
Yep.
And so you get all that extra ball speed gets retained if you don't hit it perfect.
Yep.
So it's very high ball speed, and it's also fun how you can have a high forgiveness driver with relatively low spin.
Yeah, and you can build a longer driver, and then you can really go after it. And I heard that's what you're kind of toying with right now.
Like I'm a big fan of that. So with the 10K, and we got the idea from Mr. Victor back here, who's on the screen, a couple of years ago. He was trying to get his ball speed up, right? He was living in the low 170s when he first came on tour. When he graduated, he won the USAM, played Pebble Beach. He was right around 170, and him and his coach and himself they were looking at their stats and said, hey, we need to get it to the high 170s or kind of border on 180 from a ball speed standpoint. So he did some speed training stuff, but also half of his gains came from going to a driver that's 45 3/4. So I think a lot of golfers out there think the tour players are playing 44-inch drivers or 44.5. Those days are gone. With the more forgiving the driver, the longer you can play it. And that's what we like about the 10K is you can indeed potentially go a little bit longer. We're building some great tools for that here at the Proving Grounds that in some of our fitting procedures that you can actually do a strokes gain comparison of a longer driver to another driver.
Oh, that's great.
Take data from your launch monitor. You plug in your distance gain you might get.
Yeah.
You pair it with the dispersion. So maybe it kind of helps answer that question, like what's more important, distance or accuracy? You can plug your distance number and then your offline number into this app we have. Plug in your handicap and if your course is more penalizing or not. And it answers the question. I might have gained 15 yards with a longer driver. If I have equal or a little bit more dispersion, it's still going to be better from a strokes gain standpoint, right? So it's now we can not have to talk about that concept theoretically. We can put some numbers to it. Make a good decision based on strokes gain driving in the fitting environment. And
love that.
That's huge.
Longer length driver can definitely be a thing with the Max 10K for sure.
Yeah, because everybody's trying to get faster, right? But there's going to be a point of diminishing returns.
Yep.
So you're gonna have to find out where your optimal is.
Yes.
So if you're going to make a long driver and you're just going to try to hit bombs, you're going to hit it all over the face. The 10K is going to make it faster. But if your dispersion's too much, then you might want to dial it back just a little bit. So you're going to find exactly where you need to be.
Yep. And that's a big part of the fitting process, is knowing how that individual player is going to respond. Because what Victor does at 45 3/4, not everyone can do that, right?
Sure.
Somebody might need that tighter stat area on the face and better delivery characteristics. But the more forgiving the driver, just give yourself permission to consider going longer.
Yeah.
And then we're having a lot of fun with these tools, because you can, our tool that we have to calculate strokes gain driving, you could put in there, let's say you got a member at Desert Forest. The fairways
Just
are
have one.
tight.
Sure.
You can put that in there. Like, I play on a tight driving course. Or if you're going to play, Papago or Talking Stick or something where the fairways are wider, you can live with a little bit more dispersion.
Yeah.
And so our tool allows you to have that level of nuance down to the individual player and help answer that question, which is
Useful.
really fun.
Very useful
Really
for
fun.
us. Yeah, absolutely.
So we got a lot of great driver options, from a launch, spin, forgiveness, look, sound, feel, and just kind of continuing on that journey.
Love it.
Great.
So definitely worth at least giving it a try, even if you're currently a G430 player.
Yeah.
Coming in, doing some testing with 10K, see what gains are there to be had. And I mean, there's something out there for everybody, it sounds like.
Yeah.